Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chev Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Bolo Shri Radhe Golokananda Bhagwan ki Jai
जय
Bolo SrimadBhagavatam ki Jai
जय
Krishna Hare Krishna Shiva Prabhu Krishna Krishna Anil Hare Krishna and Ajay is reaching home, is it right now? अजय क्या बोल रहे थे वो? He was running still or?
नहीं कुछ बोला नहीं तुमने
आगे अजय joined. Hello Ajay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Ready from jogging
Yeah.
jogging to Srimad Bhagavatam. हम लोग last week we started reading अध्याय 24 and अध्याय 24 is about Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah, this is where we start reading about Lord Sri Krishna. And this is the final adhyay of 9th skand. So once we complete this adhyay, we will actually start the 10th canto, the 10th skand, which is the most prominent out of all the skands in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So we read Shlok 12 last week, where Sukdev Goswami is saying, O King Maharaj Parikshit, who can suppress your enemies? The sons of Vrishni were Sumitra and Yudhajit. From Yudhajit came Sini and Anamitra. And from Anamitra came a son named Nigna. So, Nigna. And what we are reading is all the descriptions of Yadu dynasty and, from Somdev and then Magad Naresh and Ajamid's dynasty is what we read in the last chapter, and this chapter we are reading about Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah? But Sukdev Goswami is describing all these dynasties to start with. So we'll start with Shlok 13. Anilji.
तत्रायिता प्रसेनश्च निघ्नस्याथा सुतः सुतो अनमित्र सुतो योन्यः शिनिस्तस्य च सत्यक्रः. The two sons of Nighna were Satrajit and Prasen. Another son of Anamitra was another Sini, and his son was Satya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yuyudhana Satyakirve Jastasya Kunistataha Yugandharo Namistrasya Vrishnihi Putro Parastasta. The son of Satyaka was Yuyudhan, whose son was Jaya. From Jaya came a son named Kuni, and from Kuni a son named Yugandhar. Another son of Anamitra was Vrishni. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I see like how many generations are being described, right? Like, yeah. Hare Krishna, Shiva Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Rishvafal Shitra Rathascha Gandhanyam Cha Shafalkatah Akrur pramukha asan putra dadasha vishutaha. From Vrishni came the sons named Swaphalka and Chitraratha. From Swaphalka by his wife Gandhini came Akrura. Akrura was the eldest, but there were 12 other sons, all of whom were most celebrated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Nisha.
Hare Krishna. आसङ्गसारमेयश्च मृदुरो मृदुविदगिरिः धर्मवृद्धः सुकर्मा च क्षेत्रोपेक्षो अरिमर्दनः शत्रुघ्नो गन्धमादश्च प्रतिबाहुश्च द्वादश तेषां स्वसा सुचाराख्या द्वावक्रूरसुतावपि देववानुपदेवश्च तथा चित्ररथात्मजाः पृथुर्विदुरथ अधाश्च बहवो वृष्टिनन्दनाः. The names of these 12 were Asang, Sarmeya, Mradura, Mraduvit, Giri, Dharmavriddha, Sukarma, Kshetropeksha, Arimardana, Shatrughna, Gandhamada, and Pratibhahu. These brothers also had sister named Suchara. From Akrura came two sons named Devavan and Upadev. Chitrarath had many sons headed by Prithu and Vidurath, all of whom were known as belongings to the dynasty of Vrishni. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, we're reading about the dynasty of Vrishni. Yeah? Kukuro bhajmanascha shuchiha kambal bahirasha kukurasya suto vari arviloma tanashtatah. Kukur, Bhajman, Suchi, and Kambal Barhish were the four sons of Andhaka. The son of Kukur was Vahini, and his son was Vilom. Anilji?
Bhaktivottaroma tasyanuhum sakhayasya cha tumbruhu andhakad dunduvistasmad vidditaha punarvasuhu. The son of Viloma was Kapotaroma, and his son was Anu, whose friend was Tumburu. From Anu came Andhak, from Andhak Dundubhi, and from Dundubhi Avidyot. From Avidyot came a son named Purvasu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay?
Tasya hukascha huki cha kanya chaiva hukatmajo devkascho grasenascha chatvaro devkatmajaha devanu devavanu padeshascha sudeshu devavardhana tesham swasarah saptasan dhit devadayo nipa Shanti Devo Padeva Cha Shri Deva Dev Rakshata Sahadeva Devaki Cha Vasudev Vahata. Punarvasu had a son and a daughter named Ahuka and Ahuki respectively, and Ahuka had two sons named Devaka and Ugrasen. Devaka had four sons named Devavan, Upadev, Sudev, and Devavardhan. And he also had 7 daughters named Shantideva, Upadeva, Srideva, Devakrishna, Sahadeva, Devaki, and Dhatyadeva. Dhatyadeva was the eldest. Vasudeva was the father of Krishna and married all these sisters. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so दुआ करो।
कंस सुनामा ने क्रोध कड़क शुढ़ सुहुस्तथा राष्ट्रपालयत् धृष्टश्च तुष्टिमानोग्रसेन्यः कंस सुनाम नयग्रध कनक सनकु सुहु राष्ट्रपala drishti and Sutiman were the sons of Ugrasen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this we know, right? The sons of Ugrasen, and we know the Kans was son of Ugrasen, right? And before that we read about Vasudev and Devki. Yeah, Nisha.
कंसा कंसवती कंका शूरभु राष्ट्रपालिका उग्रसेन दुहितरो वसुदेवा अनुज स्त्रियः कंस कंसवती कंका Surabhu and Rashtrapalika were the daughters of Ugrasen. They became the wives of Vasudeva's younger brothers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shuro vidur thadad Sridha bhajamanastu tatsute Shinistismata Shvambhojo Ridikistata Suto Mata. The son of Chitrarat was Vidurat. The son of Vidurat was Sur. And his son was Bhajman. The son of Bhajman was Sini. The son of Sini was Bhoj. And the son of Bhoj was Ridhika. Anilji?
देवमीढः शतधनु कृतवर्मेति तत्सुताः देवमीढस्य शूरस्य मारिषनाम पत्नीभूत. The three sons of Hradik were Devamidha, Satadhanu, and Kratvarma. The son of Devamidha was Sur, whose wife was named Marish. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
तस्यां च जनया मास दश पुत्रान् कल्मषान् वसुदेवं देवभागं देवश्रवसमानकं सुजयं श्यामकं कर्णं शमीकं वत्सकं वृकं देवदुन्दुभयो नेदुरानका यस्य जन्मानि वासुदेवं हरे स्थानं वदन्या कुदुन्दुभिमा पृथा च श्रुतदेवा च श्रुतिकीर्त श्रुतश्रवा राजाधिदेवी चैतेषां भगिन्य पंचकन्यका कुन्ते सख्यो पिता शूरो रापुत्तस्य. Through Marisika, King Shura begot Vasudeva, Devabhaga, Devashrava, Anaka, Srijanya, Shamka, Kanaka, Samika, Vatsaka, and Vraka. These 10 sons were spotlessly pious personalities. When Vasudeva was born, the demigods from the heavenly kingdom sounded kettle drums. Therefore, Vasudeva, who provided the proper place for the appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was also known as Anakadudumbi. The 5 daughters of King Shura named Pratha, Shrutadeva, Shrutakirti, Shrutasharva, and Rajadhidevi were Vasudeva's sisters. Shura gave Pritha to his friend Kunti, who had no issue, and therefore another name of Pritha was Kunti. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Hare Krishna, and so we read so many things which we generally right? We know Vasudev, we know Devaki, right? We know Lord Krishna's birth, but then we never see the whole dynasty and all the names are given, right? How Ugrasen's, all the sons and daughters are described, how Vasudev's and then through King Sur, all that is described. And now you see here Kunti, right? Mother Kunti, where you say the King Sur gave Pritha to his friend Kunti, who had no issue, and therefore another name of Pritha was Kunti. Yeah. Shiva Prabhu.
Sap durvasaso vidham devahutim pratoshitat tasya vir parisharth majuhav ravim suchih. Once when Durvasa was a guest at the house of Pritha's father, Kunti, Pritha satisfied Durvasa by rendering service. Therefore, she received a mystic power by which she could call any demigod. To examine the potency of this mystic power, the pious Kunti immediately called for the sun god. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so we know this part. First of all, Mother Kunti's another name is Pritha. Yeah. And Pritha, Durvasa Muni gave her a blessing, and she wanted like a mystic power by which she could call any devatas. So just to test it, she immediately called the Surya Dev. Yeah. Nisha?
तदैवोपागतं देवं वीक्ष्य विस्मितमानसा प्रत्ययार्थं प्रयुक्ता मे याहि देव क्षमस्व मे. As soon as Kunti called the demigod of the sun, he immediately appeared before her, and she was very much surprised. She told the sun god, "I'm simply examining the effectiveness of this mystic power. I'm sorry I have called you unnecessarily. Please return and excuse me." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Mother Kunti calls for Surya Dev, and Surya Dev comes, and she was just saying, like, she was just trying to test it out. Amogam Dev Sandarsha Madhudetviya Chatmajam Yonyarthana Dushyeta Kartaham Te Sumadhyame. The sun god said, "O beautiful Pritha, your meeting with the demigods cannot be fruitless. Therefore, let me place my seed in your womb so that you may bear a son. I shall arrange to keep your virginity intact since you are still an unmarried girl." Yeah. Anilji?
इति तस्यां आधाय गर्भं सूर्यो दिवं गतः सद्यः कुमारः संजज्ञे द्वितीय इव भास्करः. After saying this, the sun god discharged his semen into the womb of Pratha and then returned to the celestial kingdom. Immediately thereafter, from Kunti, a child was born who was like a second sun god. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And do you know the name of that child?
Karna.
Karna, right? Surya Dev's son, Karna. Ajay?
Tam satya jannaditoe kricha chalos kasya vibhyati prapita mahasta muvah panduve satya vikrama. Because Kunti feared people's criticism with great difficulty, she had to give up her affection for her child unwillingly. She packed the child in a basket and let it float down the waters of the river. O Maharaja Parikshit, your great-grandfather, the pious and chivalrous King Pandu later married Kunti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we know all this, right? Of course. So Maharaj Parikshit, your great-grandfather is, of course, the Pandu king, right? The King Pandu. And we know King Pandu married Kunti. And who was the father of Maharaja Parikshit?
Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu. And mother?
Subhadra.
Uttara.
Yashodhara.
Yashodhara, sorry.
Uttara. Right?
Uttara.
Uttara. Oh,
So Parikshit's Maharaj Parikshit's parents are Abhimanyu and Uttara.
Uttara.
And yeah, Abhimanyu's parents are Arjun and Subhadra. Right? And then of course we know Arjun's father is King Pandu. Right? Yeah, sure, bro.
Ritu Devam tu Karusho Vridha Sharma Samgrahita Yashyam Bhuda Dant Vakra Rishi Shapto Dite Sutaha Vridashrama, the king of Karusa, married Kunti's sister Shrutadeva, and from her womb Dantavakra was born, having been cursed by the sages headed by Sanaka. Dantavakra had formerly been born as the son of Diti named Hiranyaksha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, see how everything is so related. Yeah, Nisha.
कैकेयो धृष्टकेतश्चु श्रुतकीर्तिं विन्दत सन्तर्दनादयस्तस्यां पञ्चासन् कैकयाः सुताः. King Drishtaketu, the king of Kaikeya, married Shrutakirti, another sister of Kunti's. Shrutakirti had 5 sons, headed by Santardan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And then of course we have not read about, right, Kunti's sisters and all the other dynasties and all the other siblings and everything else, right? So briefly described here by Sukdev Goswami ji. Yeah, Anil ji.
राजाधिदेव व्यामावन्त्यो जयसेनो जनिष्ठः दमघोषश्चेदिराजः श्रुतश्रवसं गृहीत through the womb of Rajadevi. Another sister of Kunti's, Jyasen, begot 2 sons named Vinda and Anuvind. Similarly, the king of the Chedi state married Shrutashrava. This king's name was Damaghas. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Raju.
शिशुपालः सुतस्य कथितस्तस्य सम्भवः देवभागस्य कंसाय चित्रकेतु बृहद्वलौ. The son of Shrutashrava and Shishupal, whose birth had already been described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeva's brother named Devbhag had 2 sons born of his wife, Kamsa. These 2 were Chitraketu and Brihadbala. Hare Krishna.
Sure, bro.
Svatyam Dev Shavasah Suvir Ishu Mastatha Bakaha Kadakata tu Kadakyam Satya Jit Puru Jit Tatha. Vasudev's brother named Devashrava married Kanswati, by whom he begot 2 sons named Suvira, and Ishuman. Kanaka, by his wife Kanaka, begot three sons named Baka, Satyajit, and Purujit. Hare Krishna.
Nisha.
सृज्ययो राष्ट्रपालां च वृषदुर्मर्षणादिकान् हरिकेशहिरण्याक्षो शूरभूम्यां च शामकः. King Sanjay, by his wife Rashtrapalika, begot sons headed by Vrisha and Durmarsana. King Samak, by his wife Surabhumi, begot two sons named Harikesha and Hiranyaksh. Hare Krishna.
मिश्रकेशाम् अप्सरसि वृकादीनवत्सत्कथा तत् तक्षपुष्करशालादीन् durvakshaam vrik adudhe. Thereafter, King Vatsaka, by the womb of his wife Misrakesi, who was an Apsara, begot sons headed by Vrik. Vrik, by his wife Durvaksi, begot Taksh, Pushkar, Shala, and so on. Anilji?
सुमित्रार्जुन पालादीन समीकांतु सुदामणि आनकः कर्णिकायां वै ऋत तथा यावपि. From Samik, by the womb of his wife Sudamani, came Sumitra, Arjun Pal, and other sons. King Anak, by his wife Karnika, begot two sons, namely Ratadhan and Jaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
पौर्वी रोहिणी भद्रा मदिरा रोचना इला देवकी प्रमुखाश्चासन पल्य आनक दुदुम्बई. देवकी, पौर्वी, रोहिणी, भद्रा, मदिरा, रोचना, Ila, and others were all wives of Kanakudambi Vasudeva. Among them all, Devaki was the chief. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, and so Vasudev was known as Anak Dundubhe. And why was he known as Anak Dundubhe? Yeah, Vasudev, father of Lord Sri Krishna, right, was known as Anak Dundubhe. We just read it before a couple of shloks.
Yeah.
Right? Because when he was born, all the devatas played the Dundubi, right? All the devatas played the drums. So because the devatas played the drums, he was also known as Anak Dundubi. Yeah. Sure.
Balam Gadam Sharanam cha Durmadam Vipulam Dhruvam Vasudevastu Rohinyam Kritadinu Dapadyata. Vasudev, by the womb of his wife Rohini, begot sons such as Bala, Gada, Sharana, Durmada, Vipula, Dhruva, Krita, and others. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nisha?
सुभद्रो भद्रबाहुश्च दुर्मदो भद्र एव च पौरव्यास्तनया भूते भूताद्या द्वादशा भवन. नन्दो नन्दकृतकशुराध्या मतिरात्मजाः कौशल्या केशिनीं त्वेकं सुत कुलनन्दनम्. From the womb of Pauravi came 12 sons, including Bhuta, Subhadra, Bhadrabahu, Durmada, Bhadra, Nand, Upanand. Krataka, Sura and other were born from the womb of Madira. Bhadra Kaushalya gave birth the only one son named Kesi. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Anil?
Rochnaya mato jata hasta hemangadadeyaha ilayamur valkadina yad mukhyan jijanat. Vasudev, by another of his wife, whose name was Rochana, begot Asta, Hemangada, and other sons. And by his wife named Ila, he begot sons headed by Uruvalka, all of whom were chief personalities in the dynasty of Yadu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the dynasty of Yadu, yeah, is what we are reading, right? The Vrishni dynasty. Ajay?
Viprishto Dhrit Anak Dudumbai Shanti Devatmaja Rajan Prasham Prasitadaya. From the womb of Dhritadev, one of the wives of Anak Dudumbi, Vasudev, came a son named Viprasth. The son of Shantideva. Another wife of Vasudeva was Prasamma, Prasita, and others. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shiva Prabhu?
Raj Nakalpavarshadha Updevasutta Dasha Vasuham Suvam Shadha Shri Devayastu Shat Sutta. Vasudeva also had a wife named Upadeva, from whom came 10 sons, headed by Rajanya, Kalpa, Varsha. From Srideva, another wife, came 6 sons, such as Vasu, Hamsa, and Subhamamsha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So all we know is Vasudeva and Devaki, right? But then all the other descendants are described here as well. Nisha?
देवरक्षितया लब्धा नवचात्रगदादयः वसुदेवः सुतान् नष्टा वादते सह देवया. By the semen of Vasudeva in the womb of Devarakshita, 9 sons were born, headed by Gada Vasudeva, who was a religion personified. Also had a wife named Sahadev, by whom he begot 8 sons, headed by Shruta and Pravara. Hare Krishna.
Pravarshutta Mukhyanscha Sakshat Dharmo Vasuniva Vasudevastu Devakyam Ashta Putrana Jijanat Kirtimantam Sushenam Cha Bhadrasena Mudaradhi Rijuha Samardanam Bhadram Sankarshan Maheshwaram Astamastu Tayorasi Swayameva Harikila Subhadra Che Mahabhaga Taurajan Pitamahi. The 8 sons were born of Sahadev, such as Pravara and Shruta, were exact incarnations of the 8 Vasus in the heavenly planets. Vasudev also begot 8 highly qualified sons to the womb of Devaki. These included Kirtiman, Sushen, Bhadrasen, Riju, Samardhan, Bhadra, and Sankarshan, the controller and serpent incarnation. The 8th son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. The highly fortunate Subhadra, the one daughter was your grandmother. Yeah. So the Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, Subhadra, the one daughter was your grandmother. Right? Subhadra, we know, married to whom?
Arjun.
Whom did Subhadra marry to?
Arjun.
Arjun, right?
Yeah.
Subhadra was sister of Lord Sri Krishna here. Right? The eighth son, we know that. Devaki's eighth son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. Right? And the highly fortunate Subhadra, because she is the one survived, right? The one daughter was your grandmother. And then also what is given is Sankarshan, yeah, who is the Lord Balram. Let's read this. Anilji.
The 55th verse says, Swam eva Hari Kila, indicating that Krishna, the eighth son of Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is not an incarnation, although there is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, and his incarnation. Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the complete Godhead. Incarnations exhibit only a certain percentage of the potencies of Godhead. The complete Godhead is Krishna himself, who appeared as the eighth son of Devaki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what it says is, see here mentioned, Swayameva Hari Kila. Yeah. Astamastu. The eighth son was Shram Hari. What is being mentioned here is that the Krishna, right, the eighth son of Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an incarnation. So what is basically being said is that the Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared on this earth, right, as Hari. All the other incarnations we have seen who are no different, like it mentions, like Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ram, Narsingh Bhagwan, they are all incarnations of Lord Sri Krishna, right? And we see like how they come from Lord Vishnu. But what is being mentioned is that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, right? The original complete Godhead is Lord Sri Krishna, and then we have all the incarnations of God. There is no difference because in Brahma Samhita it's mentioned that from one Deepak, if you put another Deepak, right, they have the same qualities, everything is the same. But there is one original Deepak, and that is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, right? Ajay?
Yeah. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य क्षयो वृद्धिश्च पाप्मनः तदा तु भगवानीश आत्मानं सजते हरि. Whenever the principles of religion deteriorates and the principle of irreligion increase, the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, appears by his own will. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, the Hari appears by his own will whenever yada yada hi dharmasya kshayo. Yeah, with this in papamana, then tadatu bhavana is Bhagwan is atmanam srijate hari. Hari appears. Yeah, is what is mentioned. We have read that shlok in similar shlok in Bhagavad Gita many times. Right? Read the purport, very nice purport, Shriya Prabhu.
The principles by which an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends upon earth are explained in this verse. The same principles are also explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.7 by the Lord Himself. Yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajem aham. Srijam aham. Wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of religion, at that time I descend myself. In the present age, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inaugurate the Hare Krishna movement. At the present time in Kali Yuga, people are extremely sinful and bad. They have no idea of a spiritual life and are misusing the benefits of the human form to live like cats and dogs. Under these circumstances, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated the Hare Krishna movement, which is not different from Krishna. the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one associates with this movement, he directly associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should take advantage of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and thus gain relief from all the problems created in this age of Kali. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so first of all, we all have heard this many times, right? Yada yada hi dharmasya. That's a famous Mahabharata starting, right? And of course, the Lord Sri Krishna in this is saying is whenever there is a decline in religious practice, I descend myself, right? But so what is also being mentioned is before 500 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Again in this Kali Yuga, right? To help the conditioned souls like us, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, who is also known as the avatar of Lord Sri Krishna himself. In the mood of Radharani, right? How Lord Sri Krishna appeared was in the mood of Radharani. He appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this momentum of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this movement was given. And what is mentioned is if one associates with this movement, right, with the Hare Krishna chanting, he directly associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why we start with this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's descendants, from Sanatan Goswami, son is Sishya, Swami Prabhupada, right? Srila Prabhupada, who's traveled around the world at the old age of 70 plus, right? And he came, and we are so lucky that he even came to Western countries and US, and we have so many of nice Radha Krishna temples. And this is how we also start chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is actually in the voice of Srila Prabhupada. So we chant our first round when we start Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, along with the voice of Srila Prabhupada. And it's also being mentioned that we are so fortunate that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared just 500 years before, in this Kali Yuga, and even Lord Sri Krishna appeared just before 5,000 years. It's mentioned that Lord Krishna appears only once himself, right? The Shwam God, the Shwam Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears once in one kalp, like in Lord Brahma's day, right? So that's like we are so fortunate that we have been born around this time that we can actually utilize and understand this whole chanting and associate with Lord Sri Krishna. Nisha?
नायस्य जन्मनो हेतुः कर्मणो वा महीपते आत्ममायां विनेशस्य परस्य द्रष्टुरात्मनः. O King Maharaj Parikshit, but for the Lord's personal desire, there is no cause for his appearance, disappearance, or activities. As the super soul, he knows everything. Consequently, there is no cause that affects him, not even the results of fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, and who is saying this?
Sukhdev Goswami.
Sukhdev Goswami, right? He is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. And he's saying that it's just the Lord's personal desire. Otherwise, he is not impacted by any of those things, right? We have read again and again, he is beyond those three guns. The Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Those are all, he's beyond those things. All the results of fruitive activities doesn't impact him. And he knows everything. Yeah. His appearance, disappearance, or activities, there is no cause for that. And he knows everything is what is mentioned. See the nice purport of this, Anilji.
This verse points out the difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and an ordinary living being. An ordinary living being receives a particular type of body according to his past activities. Karmana Deva Netrana Jantur Diha Papate. A living being is never independent and can never appear independently. Rather, one is forced to accept a body imposed upon him by Maya, according to his past karma. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 18.61, Yantra Ruddhani Mayayai Mayaya. The body is a kind of machine created and offered to the living entity by the material energy under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity must accept a particular type of body awarded to him by Maya, the material energy, according to his karma. One cannot independently say, give me a body like this or give me a body like that. One must accept whatever body is offered by the material energy. This is the position of the ordinary living being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is being mentioned, a few important part is, first of all, there is a difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and an ordinary living being. Yeah, because you will see that lot of gurus and everywhere they will say, everyone is one, the God and we are all the same. We just merge into this energy and then we are all one, right? What is mentioned here is, even though we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's a difference, right? So one is Paramatma and one is Atma. And there's a big difference because we, as an ordinary living being, we receive a particular type of body, right? Now, we don't know what our past birth was, right? We don't know how many births we have taken. We have no ideas, and it wasn't in our control of what body you want, except doing the karma. And those karmas, doing the right karma, will get you the right, whatever body is imposed upon by the Maya. Right? The whole Maya, the materialistic world, based on the past karma, and we know there are 8.4 million different species, right? And based on the past karma, one gets that kind of body, right? It says the body is a kind of machine created, offered to the living entity by the material energy under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So basically, the point which is being made is a living entity is not independent. Like we may think, oh, I am independent, right? But the reality is, our soul is related to the supreme soul, right? And we get a particular type of body based on the past karmas. Yeah. So that's the position of the ordinary living being. So there's a difference in an ordinary living being and the God himself. Ajay?
When Krishna descends, however, he does so out of his merciful compassion for the fallen souls. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Pratityana sadhunam vinasya chadushkatam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants as well as re-establish the principle of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. The Supreme Lord is not forced to appear. Indeed, no one can subject him to force, or he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is under his control and he is not under the control of anyone else. Foolish people who because of poor fund of knowledge think that they can equal Krishna or become Krishna are condemned in every way. No one can equal or surpass Krishna, who is therefore described as Asamardhav. According to Vishwakosh dictionary, the word Maya is used in the sense of false pride and also in the sense of compassion. For an ordinary living being, the body in which he appears is his punishment. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Devi hi esha gunami mam maya durutyaya. The divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But when Krishna comes, the word Maya refers to his compassion or mercy upon the devotees and fallen souls. By his potency, the Lord can deliver everyone, whether sinful or pious. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So basically, what is being mentioned is, this is the materialistic world. We are conditioned souls. We are taken birth so many times in different forms and different ways. But the Lord appears, right? It's the mercy of the Lord, yeah, that he appears is compassion. Why? For the benefit of devotees and fallen souls. So, by his potency, the Lord can deliver everyone, whether sinful or pious. And he comes, we read his katha like how we are reading SrimadBhagavatam because Lord Krishna appeared, right? And when he appears, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and that's how we get a benefit. Because of their mercy, we get the benefit. We understand what needs to be done in order to get away from the materialistic lifestyle. Shiva Prabhu?
Yanmaya chestitam punsah sthityutpatyapyayaihi anugrahasthanivritte ratmalabhaya cheshyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the living being to return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Sukdev Goswami is mentioning this, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, right? So that Anugraha, right, his Kripa, right, to deliver Nirvate, yeah, to deliver the falling souls, to deliver the living entity from the birth, death, and continuous cycle of old age and disease and birth and death, right? And the whole entire duration of the materialistic life. It's not just one life, the whole birth after birth, to deliver from that, yeah, is to enable the living being to return home back to Godhead is when the Lord appears. Yeah. Nisha?
Materialistic men sometimes ask why God has created the material world for the suffering of living entities. The material creation is certainly meant for the suffering of the conditioned souls who are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashasthani nindriyani prakritisthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are very eternal, fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, six senses which include the mind. All the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are as good as the Lord's qualitatively and the quantitatively. There is a great difference between them, for the Lord is unlimited, whereas the living entities are limited. Thus, the Lord possesses unlimited potential for the pleasure, and the living entities have a limited pleasure potential. Anandamayo Vyasat Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. Both the Lord and the living entity, being collectively spirit soul, have tendency for peaceful enjoyment. But when the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead unfortunately wants to enjoy independently without Krishna, he is put into the material world where he begins his life as Brahma and is gradually degraded by the status of an ant or a worm in stool. This is called mana indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. There is a great struggle for existence because the living entity conditioned by material nature is under nature's full control. Prakriteha kriya manani guneha karmani sarvasva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so basically, couple of things mentioned here is the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmented parts. So we are not different. We are still attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But because of the life condition, we are struggling with the six senses. What are the six senses? Including the mind. Mind is the sixth given here. What are the other five senses?
Nose, eyes,
Right.
Touch,
touch.
smell,
Yeah. So skin
taste.
for touch. Yeah. The tongue. Tongue is for the taste, right? Then you have the ears, eyes,
Ears.
and nose, right? To smell, to see, and so those are our five Gyanendriyas, is how we call it. The five Gyanendriyas, and the sixth sense is the mind. Yeah. And of course, we are all struggling with all that. Really, Anilji?
Because of his limited knowledge, however, the living entity thinks he is enjoying in his
Sure.
material world. Manaha shastani indrayani prakriti sthani karasati. He is actually under the full control of material nature, but still he thinks himself independent. Ahankara bimudhatma kartaham iti maniyati. Even when he is elevated by speculative knowledge and tries to merge into the existence of Brahman, the same disease continues. Aruhya kraccherena param padam tatah patanti adha. Bhagavatam 10.2.32. Even having attained that param padam, having merged into the impersonal Brahman, he falls again to the material world. In this way, the conditioned soul undergoes a great struggle for existence in this material world, and therefore the Lord, out of compassion for him, appears in this world and instructs him. Thus the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendants of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. The real dharma is to surrender unto Krishna. But the rebellious living entity, instead of surrendering to Krishna, engages in adharma, in a struggle for existence to become like Krishna. Therefore, out of compassion, Krishna creates this material world to give the living entity a chance to understand this, his real position. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So actually, we'll pause here and we'll continue reading from here tomorrow. Yeah. And as again, like we are now reading about Lord Sri Krishna himself in this chapter. Yeah. How and why he appears. Right. So we'll of course hear and the Lord Krishna's bhajan. And we are going to hear Jai Radha Madha. It's for 5 minutes. So let's hear that.
Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giri Bardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giri Bardhari Jai व्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर जय गोवर्धन धारी जय कुंज बिहारी
Krishna Krishna. So I think it's a nice, beautiful bhajan of Jai Radha Madhav. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how we start reading about Lord Sri Krishna actually. So this is the 9th skand, last chapter will complete, and then the 10th skand is where all about Lord Sri Krishna's katha. That's what the Saptaji is like. If you hear the Saptaji, right, SrimadBhagavatam for 7 days, like a lot of Mahatmas do that, right? The SrimadBhagavatam katha. And the katha they do is just a small portion of the 10th skand, which we are about to read now. It's just a summary of that canto, which is done by all the Mahatmas. And we are going to start reading that very soon. So hopefully tomorrow we'll complete this adhyaya and then start getting into the 10th skand. So that's so nice. So slow and short journey. We are moving ahead, right? So Hare Krishna, and then we'll see you tomorrow, 9:30.
Yeah. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.